At Depaco Credit Union, we value your health and happiness as much as your financial well-being. We encourage the volunteer spirit by providing Depaco employees with the tools and resources to help grow our communities and support the causes that matter to us. We believe that giving back not only strengthens the places we call home, but also enhances our overall well-being. Well-being is the key to a life worth loving. So when you think about yours, remember that Depaco can help you be well.
All things Hawkeyes, your all-access pass from the sidelines to the postgame. Iowa's News Now Sports presents Eye on the Hawks, sponsored by Depaco Community Credit Union and Pin Seekers.
Yeah, it would have been great to go undefeated. Nobody would complain about that, but sometimes you learn more about people and teams, when it's not going well. And today was represented that. I mean, there was a lot of ups and downs today. But we responded, and some days it's the defense responding when it's not going great offensively and vice versa, but that's the beauty of the game. And finding an answer, it takes the right people, and that's what these guys did a great job of today.
It might be a season where a lot of people still wonder what if, but what you got was still pretty darn good. Iowa, your ReliaQuest Bowl champions to end 2025 9-4 after a 34-27 ReliaQuest Bowl win over number 14 Vanderbilt. And boy, lots to talk about when it comes to DJ Vonnahme going into 2026, which is the year we are now in. Happy New Year to you and yours. Hope everybody's happy and healthy, at least healthier than one of us here in Depaco Studios at Broadcast Park. Mitch Fick with Mike Howell and Director Erica starting things off in this new year, wrapping up the 2025 Hawkeye football season. Again, thanks to Depaco and Pin Seekers for sponsoring the podcast. As always, you can go to the Iowa's News Now YouTube channel if you're not already watching us already. Owen Sebring, who's en route back from Tampa right now, his full recap from the bowl game, extended post-game reaction from players as well on there, so you want to catch his post-game report. And wherever you listen to podcasts, of course, we are there, whether it's Spotify, Apple, the whole 9 yards. You can always check those out. Lots to get to. Again, we'll talk a little more about DJ and a few other guys that stood out to wrap up the 2025 season. We got to talk about Mark Gronowski and what his 358 days as a Hawkeye meant to Hawkeyes, quarterback legacy and just solidifying that position in some way, shape, or form over 13 games. We'll talk about Phil Parker's defense and what they were able to do against Diego Pavia for a little bit, but let's tee it up first. Courtesy of Pin Seekers, just hearing from Mark Gronowski and Kirk Ferentz, or I guess just Kirk Ferentz, about beating Vanderbilt and finally getting that ranked win that they've been waiting for more than 4 years. They've had 4 opportunities this season. Didn't quite get it done, but of course we're up to the task near about against all of them. So here's Coach Ferentz about finally beating that ranked team and finishing on a high note in 2025.
I look at India, I look at Oregon as two of the best teams anywhere. And I think right now they're in the top 5. But if either one of them wins it all, it wouldn't shock me at all. And I'm certainly no expert on that stuff. You guys watch more of it globally than I do. But just know this, being on the field, those two teams were really good. Southern Cal is not a bad football team either, and Iowa State was a highly ranked team when we played them. So, each game was those were all tough, hard fought, and you just a play here, a play there, and it's a different outcome. But that's football. And the good thing about our guys, they didn't look backwards. They just kept focusing on what the opportunities were in front of them. And so to beat a ranked team, a deservedly ranked team, a 10-win, SEC football team, that's really gratifying. Again, the seniors, everybody can feel good about that.
So if you're watching on YouTube, we get you a few minutes of, not a few minutes, maybe like 45 seconds of the highlights that Owen sent back from Tampa. Mike, just your thoughts on the win yesterday.
Get the monkey off your back, right? I mean, finally beat that ranked team. It reminded me a lot of that USC game. You're up 21-3, at least in the third quarter. You're up against USC. You're up 21-7 in the second. And what are you going to do in the second half of the game, give or take, or some minutes? And Iowa went scoreless against USC, scored 20 points in the second half against Vanderbilt, against a really good offensive team with some great playmakers. You saw how fast they could score. I was sitting there on the edge of my seat thinking that Iowa was going to lose another close one after Diego Pavia was just coming back and back. And it was the offense that closed it out. Right? They had to get the first downs. Answers, which is the thing everyone's been searching for in various forms for, better part of half a decade at this point. And then when the chips were, under 4 minutes, you have to get the first down. to seal the game. And you've seen time and time again Kirk Ferentz teams getting stuffed or having to punt away and rely on their defense, and they didn't put the defense in that position because Diego was cooking, and I'm not so sure. I mean, who knows? 50-50. But put the game away, and they did. So
yeah, it was reminiscent a little bit of the end of the Penn State game where they call it a trick play, I suppose, where Mark fakes the handoff and rolls out, and the line didn't know that he had the ball. A little bit with that, and
love that play.
Vanderbilt jumped offside, so it was kind of a moot point regardless, but they took the play because Xavier Williams gained 11 yards, and a little redemption for him after a tough go early in the first quarter with the pass going off his hands for the pick. But yeah, I mean, winning the last game of the season cures a lot of ailments, and going 8-5 with this squad and having all 5 losses, being the ranked teams would have ripped your guts out. But you go 9-4, you flush that demon. You hang 34 on an SEC team. You hold another top 15 offense under their averages. I mean, Diego is going to go off. We talked about it. Especially when he gets down, that's just time for him to cook, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But man, it felt good. It just going from Carson Shire teeing off on him on that one and kind of announcing their presence those first few drives. The offense getting trickeration going with the Wigan Penn going, and Kamari with another great game. Man, it was just it felt like everything you wanted from Iowa in that game is exactly what happened, more or less.
Yeah, and Mark Gronowski, we'll talk more about him later, but he had a career at Iowa, career high in passing.
It was a fully formed Mark Gronowski. You know what I mean? Like, that's the guy you've been waiting for since
100%.
January 7th of last year when he first announced his commitment, because that's the guy that Cohen Endringer called playoff Mark. Like, he can just put it all together and was so dynamic. And, aside from that one pick that goes off, you take that away, he's, 17 of 21 or something like that? Or yeah, I think, or no, it would have been 16 of 21 without that.
Yeah, and I think early in the game, too, Iowa was in the lead, obviously, but it seemed like if they would have punched it in there, there would have been too much of a gap for Vanderbilt.
14-0 like that was what, yeah
100%.
Big.
But then again, you can go back and Vanderbilt fans and say, well, if our punter didn't run over the freaking line and set you guys up, maybe it's a whole different ballgame.
Special teams. Again, LeVar Woods, even said it in his kind of farewell press conference the other day about, Iowa fans, even the Iowa media, like, we understand because of what's happened the last few years, and because there's a legacy of great special teams play at Iowa, the importance of the third phase of football. And Vanderbilt learned a very important lesson about that. We praised their punt coverage. Caden Weegan had 2 returns yesterday for 25 yards against the unit that had given up 6 returns for 34 the whole rest of the season. And it's a game of inches on all 3 phases. And, yeah, you feel for that punter because you kind of get what he was trying to do. And Kirk even said, like, he was more mad that the contain was kind of breaking. Like, he's just kind of walking down the field. He could have run for a first down.
Well, actually, I think it was like 20 yards. I don't know if
it was a little longer, but it's
but
just.
I think Clark said that. Clark Lee said that that was the game plan, kind of just to prevent Caden Weegan, and that's just another way.
Unit get time, yeah.
Not on the stat sheet. Caden Weegan affected the game, but
his aura affected the game.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Going back to the overall game, I think our preview, I think we kind of lined up kind of how this game would be won. You can't stop Pavia, but can you slow him down? And they certainly did in the first half. And then how much can the offense score? We talked about how many points Iowa would need to score. And I think I said 28, and Vanderbilt scored 27.
Yeah, so you were right. Yeah. You were technically right.
But I think, if they only had 28, they wouldn't have kicked that field goal late. They would have went for the touchdown. So a little different scenario.
I kind of like that move, as wild as it was, to be like 2nd and 10, and here comes the field goal unit with 3:04 to go. Like
100%. If they had more timeouts, they wouldn't have done that.
You want your time, yeah. It's it was the right move, and Tyler Tashman pointed it out, and a lot of folks did too. That squib kick they did then, where Reese Vanderzee makes a really nice play to recover. Like, that's a big play. Again, special teams. Even if Caden wasn't showing out there, special teams clearly a factor in this game. And in one-possession games against good teams, if you can win special teams, that's going to give you an edge.
Yeah, 100%. And you're totally going to miss LeVar Woods. You just hope that the special teams play kind of as a culture kind of lives on through the next – I wonder who's going to be that coordinator next year.
It's super interesting. I don't think many of us or a lot of folks know, like, the market for special teams coordinator. The only guy I know who I first popped into my head was Rob Wegner, who was the special teams coordinator at Western Michigan when I was covering them, was up in Minnesota, would when Fleck first got there. He left coaching for a while, just finished up this last year with head coach Brennan Marion at Sacramento State. He just took the job, though, Rob did at James Madison. So he's off the market. Congrats to Rob. I don't know. He's probably not listening to this. He's definitely not listening to this. But really good dude, and was a special teams coordinator before it became kind of a more common position.
A newer role.
Up. Yeah.
I don't think Iowa State had one until like 2 years ago.
Exactly. So it's going to be interesting what that coaching market is and what that looks like. But LeVar, a great way to send him out, and we'll talk more about what his special teamers showed in a bit. But thanks to Pin Seekers, as always, for teeing it up with us. We've teased it a little bit already, but yeah, Diego Pavia, Heisman runner-up, he was going to get his at some point, but Iowa was able to weather the storm that was Diego Pavia, really his last 7 drives. But here's a little more from Kirk Ferentz just about what he saw on the side and what he was cautiously optimistic for heading into the game.
It's how football is. Nobody wants to hear it, but it just I'll share this with you. Going into the game, I was hoping for a Missouri score, 17-10, with us being 17, not them. But I was kind of hoping maybe we could keep it that way. But they're a really explosive, dynamic team offensively. So wasn't a great first half for them on the offensive side. And to their credit, they made some adjustments. They came out, went a little tempo at times, and just got us on our heels a little bit. And it was tail 2 halves, but that's what makes football so interesting.
Yeah, and it got interesting because of number 2 and what a ride he's had in a career. And it started great. You saw Carson Shire on the delayed blitz there. Pavia on the first 4 drives for Vandy yesterday accounted for 92 offensive yards. They got the field goal. He was sacked 4 times. You're seeing some of them there. Just a reminder that somehow, some way, Ethan Hurkett didn't get any sort of all Big Ten recognition. He was fantastic in getting a couple of those sacks. But then he went off. Pavia on the final 7 drives for Vanderbilt accounted for 314 offensive yards, 3 touchdowns, got the field goal drive, was not sacked. He was a video game, and Iowa just had to weather the storm and did everything they could to survive. But Mike, your thoughts on Pavia and what Phil Parker's defense was able to do yet again against the top 15 team, where they bent. This time they don't break.
Yeah, like we said earlier, they did what they had to do in slowing him at least in one half. And, it was kind of a pipe dream to do it the full 4 quarters. Getting those 4, I think I was going to say this in the preview, but Carson Shire, smacked him. I think Diego, loves being hit, because if you watch him during the regular season, he looks for contact sometimes. So it's not going to phase him.
We heard a little bit in the early going of the year that, Mark struck you as a guy that, he wakes up once he's hit, and that game. And it took Diego 4 hits to get in there, but yeah, man, he's just never out. I mean, you watch that Texas game or any other game, he keeps going. He's a fun player. Whatever you think about him off the field, that dude's a gamer, and he's what college football's all about, right? You want those guys that can just be video games and be a dude that changes the outlook of an entire program, and that's what he did in Nashville.
I personally like kind of quarterbacks or jerks, like when Johnny Manziel was like that. I was watching a game at my friend's house, and his mom going on, "Oh, smack that guy," and
Mom,
you better, smoke him. And I've heard a lot of sentiment around that, everyone was rooting for Iowa because they didn't like Diego Pavia. I'm like, little bad boy, never hurt. Definitely gets eyes on the games. I have a trivia time for you, though.
Sure, yeah.
Let's see. How many did he have? He had 248, right? Or, sorry, 348 passing yards. Diego did?
Something like that, yeah, something crazy.
And that's the most passing yards allowed by this Iowa defense, or not this, but in Iowa defense, since when?
When's the last, man?
When I was looking through, I was shocked at how few 300-yard
Yeah, there aren't
games.
a lot.
I shouldn't be shocked because I know how good this defense is. It's just, it's going to happen eventually.
It's in the last 10 years?
Yes.
It wasn't Stroud in 22, right?
No, you have to go back further.
Back further. Was it in 2013 or 14?
Sooner than
that? More recent?
More recent. There's
2018?
Even more recent than that. It's actually not. I'll give you the year. 2021.
It was 2021.
Yeah.
Was it Purdue?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Purdue.
Aiden O'Connell.
David Bell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
moving on. Yeah.
If the next further one, you have to go back.
And that was after Penn State. It was after their last ranked win. I
yeah.
mean, people the night and day jump of like emotions and morale of the fan base that year, from we're the number 2 team in the nation to Aiden O'Connell and David Bell just eviscerated everything. And then I think next week was Wisconsin.
Yeah, lost to Wisconsin on the road.
That was, it was rough.
If you to go back further, like past that, the last time 300 and I'll say 50 because Diego had 348. Tanner Morgan in 2019 from Minnesota threw for 368 and an Iowa win.
Yeah, because he had Tyler Johnson, Rashad Bateman. That Gophers offense was unreal.
Pretty good.
Unreal. That was a fun team. And they had just beat Penn State the week before, too. It all comes back to Penn State. That's the divider in here. There's always a Penn State connection. Yeah, he's their leading rusher with 15 carries for 36 yards because he had the 4 sacks, but, he has a 19-yard scramble. He's got the 11-yard touchdown run.
He's their offense, and I wonder. I know they have a 5-star quarterback coming in, I believe, next year.
They flipped from Georgia.
Yeah, from powerhouse.
I mean, Clark Lee's a hell of a coach, man.
Yeah,
that's a fun team and a good program, and but he just.
It's just going to be tough to replicate that as a true freshman, but maybe
because
crazier things.
Because it's, man, he threw dimes and say what you want about him off the field, man. He's a gamer, and that's. The fact that him and Gronowski, you look at the poetry in sports of just like you get 2 dudes who have played a ton of football, who've been slept on, and they get to go out and battle like that in their final game, not head-to-head necessarily, they're not on the field at the same time, but that's fun against a couple good defensive units. That was a ton of fun to see. And, hey, Diego went down swinging, and you knew he was going to, and that's what makes it super fun. But then on the other side of the ball, Mark Gronowski, his 68th and final start in college football, and again, maybe the best we saw him in black and gold. He was the ReliaQuest Bowl MVP. He was already the offensive MVP for the Hawkeyes, but let's hear from him and Kirk Ferentz about his final time suiting up for the Hawkeyes.
This is one of the universities that I always looked up to and was always watching growing up as a kid. And it was just a great opportunity to get a chance to play here, play for the Big Ten, best conference in the country. And it is just there's so many different memories that I'm going to remember, and just being here at Iowa. The fans have been awesome. All the support staff that we have here have just been helping me along the way and just done a great job of that. I can't put my finger on one thing that is going to be the most memorable thing, but this opportunity that I was given, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
To me, you evaluate quarterbacks by how they move their teams and if they're winners or not, and that's kind of like a pitcher in baseball. And then the other component is to the players on the team believe in that player. And the good quarterbacks I've been around, that's what it is. There's all sizes, shapes, descriptions. Probably 2 of the better ones in the country playing today, in my opinion, against each other. Very different players, but very, just fit the bill of what I just described. And I can't say enough about Mark. He's just, at times, painful to watch him practice. Every now and then he'll do some things. I'm like, what, really? But when we get here on the game field, he's a guy everybody believes in, coaches, players, competes out there tooth and nail. And big part of the reason we won today was obviously his leadership and his impact on the game.
All right, the next 2.5 minutes is basically just the best of Mark Gronowski 2025. But, Mike, your thoughts on what number 11 brought the last year to Hawkeye football?
It was certainly fun to watch. I think he definitely grew throughout the year. If I'm comparing him to Iowa quarterbacks that I've seen, just if we're talking legacy, I put out a list. I would go 5, and I started watching in 2001. And I just think the accomplishments of the year that the other quarterbacks, I'll just go in a list. Brad Banks, obviously Heisman runner-up. Ricky Stanzi, Orange Bowl win. Drew Tate, Big Ten title. And C.J. Beathard, undefeated season. CJ would probably get bumped up higher if they hold on to beat Michigan State. If you flip a couple of those games like we're watching against Oregon right now,
I think that was the go-ahead score.
Yeah.
It felt like they did it.
I think you move him up, and I don't know where he'd go there. But it just depends. I've enjoyed watching him play, and I wish there was one more year. And I think it elevates him above Stanley and, Vandenberg.
The big moments were massive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even that Penn State game you're seeing there, but the drive to take the lead against Oregon, that Penn State game, no matter what Penn State game was, that was special. Like, that place got loud, and that was the belief. They keep using the word belief, and they talk about this year the motto for the offense was "Be the reason." I mean, he was the reason with throws, and boy, Reese Vanderzee just made catch after catch after catch, and you wonder if Reese was healthy against Ames or healthy against the Hoosiers, what happens? But this run against Penn State, just he brought that magic, and he brought the intangible that you want every quarterback to have. That when you take the field, you believe you can go score, no matter the circumstance. And Ames, he was still figuring things out, certainly against Albany and working through cramps and all that, but. Man, when he was on, he was playoff mark, and it was a real blessing to get to cover him and watch. Just as a fan and an alum, just a moment like when he ran off the field against Penn State. It's like that's your hero. I mean, that was an epic moment, and just an amazing kid. He gets to win his final college game on his dad's birthday, and his dad was his original coach and all that, and just. So many fun stories, and that's what this game and sport's all about. And I mean, we're in the business of storytelling to a certain extent in journalism, covering facts. But anybody loves a good feature story, and that kid came in. It didn't maybe look exactly how people wanted it to or first envisioned it, but you can't argue with the results. It was a ton of fun. And I don't know, do you have a favorite memory or play that he pulled off at this point this year?
That Oregon drive was special. The long run to seal the game against Penn State was probably the best play. I think his best game was against Vanderbilt. Yeah, that was fully formed, fully realized Mark Gronowski there. Yeah. And so, one of those moments, I think definitely. That Penn State game, I just, again, like the crowd noise when he pulled off the little – the Aaron Rodgers fake handoff and goes around and slides, and you just felt like this team can beat anybody, even though it was, again, a 7-6 Penn State team and all that, but it was just they're never out of it. And then, man, even just like the moments at USC where they get up 21-7 and it's a Caden Weegan big toe from that's another strike, and they've got another chance to score. It's just I think it's the moments are there, and I listed off some plays, but just the fact that it was a dude that you never believed you were out of it, and they never were out of it. Just a special dude, great family, and you just that was the sentiment online. It's just, man, now you just get one more year of it, but hey, it's as Kevin Malone said on The Office, it's nice to get one. I'm paraphrasing, but just have one season in our 3 years of doing Eye on the Hawks where it's like, you got your guy for a full 13, and things looked really, really good. And now you turn the page to whether it's Hecklinski or Hank or whoever it may be, and they've been in the system now. Tim Lester, all the flowers in the world, he's been getting them. Phil Parker deserves a ton of praise for losing as many. Lost at least 8 seniors from last year's squad and went up against four top 15 offenses, and somehow statistically his defensive unit got better. So he was great. Tim Lester's been awesome, and Mark Gronowski, I think, really elevated that room and does not leave the cupboard bare. So it's just cool to see the quarterback spot in Iowa grow and what can grow beyond that now, not just because of what he did, but hopefully what he can leave to those guys as well. Yeah, and you talk about the quarterback room growing, and we'll see how much. I think, if you're looking at it, Jeremy Hecklinski looks to have the inside track, but it will be a competition going into spring. And he seems to be more of a gunslinger. So the next evolution of this Tim Lester offense is, as great as Gronowski's been running the offense and everything, he only passed for 1,700 yards, right? Yeah. Obviously, he rushed for another almost 600 or 550 and had 16 rushing touchdowns, so you can't discredit that. But can this passing offense, move along? And I think the quarterbacks that are in there, still a lot to prove because they've only played a handful of snaps, at least at Iowa. But this offseason will be really important on that growth. But if they can, then that just would unlock even more. And I have faith in Tim Lester, but, we'll just have to see how the next year goes. Yeah, really. And you've got 3 all-conference guys to replace on the offensive line. You get Addison Ostrenga back at tight end. Everyone's talking about DJ, and we'll talk about him a little more in a bit. But,
Reese, again, when he was healthy, man, like every catch is just spectacular. And you've got a lot to shore up in the receiver room, so we'll see how that goes. Terrence Smith was a redshirt freshman that people are going to be really hyped up about coming in out of Illinois. And we'll see what else they're able to bring in there. Maybe wide receivers a portal thing again, because you're losing, not just Weege, but you lose Gill, you lose Phillips, you lose Anderson. Dayton Howard's back. Jarrett Bowie, I believe, is back as well. So you've got some guys. Alex Eichmann, who's a reserve, who gets a lot of special teams time. He's back. And we'll see who else continues to rise. But, yeah, the offense keeps taking its steps. But, yeah, yesterday was, I think, the perfect way for Mark Gronowski to end his time. And not just in Iowa City, but in college football, just on a stage like that. And having the success he did was super, super cool. Well, 3 other things to point out, some things that shut the door on or continue to look ahead. We've talked about DJ Vonnahme. Let's recap not just his day on Wednesday in Tampa, but look back at his last 5 games. He's been a dude. 19 catches, 370 yards, 3 touchdowns just since November 1st, since the Oregon game. And really it's been like his final 4.5 games, because he had 1 catch for 3 yards and then had that 40-yarder on that final drive. But a kid who a year ago was redshirt and trying to figure out the tight end position after being a quarterback at Carroll Kemper out of Breda, Iowa. He has been he's going to get a lot of hype in the offseason, deservedly so. Shout out Kamari Moulton. First season as RB1. I know he technically went in as RB1 last year, but then Caleb emerged and was great. 878 rushing yards, 5 touchdowns, and really 10.5 games. Remember, got hurt early against Albany. Never had a 100-yard game. Longest rush of the year was 34 yards, but still averaged 5.2 a pop. Just a special kid. Anytime he touched the ball, had, I think, 5 90-yard games, something like that. So really strong. And then farewell to Drew Stevens, who had 2 more field goals yesterday to make it 76 in his Hawkeye career. Continues to build space over Nate Cady after breaking his record. And, boy, yeah, you want a testament of what LeVar Woods did in the special teams room. Certainly you can look at Caden Weegan, but Drew Stevens with a heck of a career in black and gold, and overcame some bumps in the road, and just as good of a specialist as Iowa's seen in a while. I don't know if anything else stuck out to you yesterday or just throughout the season, Mike, of just great storylines and standouts.
Other things, I had some notes on DJ. One of the, maybe that's a new nickname for him. Does anyone call him that yet?
DJ MVP. That's what the lower third said, I believe.
Well, when I said it, I don't know if you said it out loud. I hadn't registered to me that
MVP.
Yeah, reminds me of DJK.
434 yards as a redshirt freshman.
Leading receiver on the team.
Leading receiver, better than Gill's 411 last year. Better than who was the leading receiver in 23? I think might have been.
Was it
Caleb Brown? Or no, it might have been Reganey.
It wasn't Brown.
It was one of those two. It was either Nico or Caleb.
It was a tight end.
Or was
anyway.
Yeah. It was probably
Yeah.
It's the best single season receiving performance since Laporta in 22.
Yeah, that's amazing. We were talking about it heading into. I think it was in the Oregon game. I feel like Owen almost said it every week. Like, what's the tight end room going to be like? Because Ortworth kind of disappeared throughout the middle of the season, and Ostrenga obviously got an injury early. So when you're looking at it, you're like, okay, is there a weapon? And now, heading into the next season, even with Ostrenga back, I'm like, DJ is going to be the top tight end regardless. I think he's going to be the next Laporta in the NFL at some point. The thing I like most about him, though, is, and I should go back and look to see how other tight ends in the past, but you said 434 receiving yards, 223 are after the catch. So, once he catches it, he makes a play. That one where he put his hand in the dirt and it looked like he was going to go down and almost score a touchdown.
And then they threw the pick after, but
yeah, I was sitting there and there's no way he could have known. I'm like, if you just go to the right, because he had a block on the right, he would have scored. But anyway, not on him because
he's fast, he's athletic. I mean, you've turned a quarterback into a tight end, and that's scary, man.
And Pro Football Focus said he only had 2 drops in the year, which I love that, right?
I think he had one. His first catch was against Iowa State. I feel like it was maybe on that final drive. Mm-hmm. You have one. Maybe he had another one against.
I don't remember exactly when they were, but I just looked at his overall stats. And, Yeah, I mean,
There was one, it was against Indiana. Was that final drive or one of the final drives? One like went through his hands, maybe. Was that the fourth down?
that might have been it. That was a high throw, the one you're talking about. Yeah. It might have been it.
Not nitpicking at all.
No. I mean,
Dude
you're going to have a few drops.
And he's a like super nice guy. We had him as a Hawkeye highlight earlier this year. And
have you looked at his offer list coming out of high school? I know.
I'm going to guess, since he's an Iowa tight end, he might have been overlooked.
Yeah. 247 Sports has 3 offers: Northern Iowa, South Dakota, and is only like, it's not even a Power 4. Group of 5 is Colorado State.
Oh, wow.
So Iowa gets him, assuming I'm remembering this right, he's a walk-on, right?
Yeah.
What a grab. It's just crazy how they find some of these guys. And even before the game, I remember watching the presser, and Kirk was talking about like how they got all the NFL tight ends, and the only one that was highly recruited was Noah Fant. He's like, we don't get a lot of those. He's with George Kittle. Like the only reason they offered him was because his dad played for Kirk, or in the 80s or something. And you go down the list. Laporta wasn't highly recruited. Neither was Dallas Clark. So
Moyaki is probably the biggest name recruitment wise. Tight end Fedorowicz, I feel like maybe was a higher end recruit, but like, a dude like Alan Reisner out of Marion, went in and had a few years in the league. And
I didn't know he was from Marion.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Good old Marion. Saw him in Lincoln. It's good to see. I looked at it over the pregame. I'm like, that looks like Alan Reisner. And then I saw him as I was walking the parking garage. Like, are you Alan Reisner? But yeah, that's what Iowa does. And hey, Abdul Hodge, been awesome as a tight end coach. Has really made that room his own. It's been really, really cool. Every position coach has done a fantastic job. Feels like this year. All right, let's recap our picks. Remember, we just did the Tuesday and Wednesday bowl games, and this was, speaking of a tale of two halves, you're talking about Vanderbilt's offense was that kind of tale. I think that's what it was for me if we're looking at these picks here on screen, Mike.
Took me a while to get this going.
We all went 3-2. Nobody gained any ground to end the year.
I'm really disappointed that I picked Michigan to win. I went 3-2. I got Illinois correct, Utah and Iowa. And we lost on USC and Michigan, and then Owen and Mitch had the exact same picks. I didn't notice this at the time, but they lost on Tennessee and USC, and won Texas, Utah, and Iowa in their respective bowl games.
Boy, both those games we missed though were the best games out of those bunch. I mean, Iowa Vandy was right there too, but those were fun games Tuesday.
Yeah, was it Tennessee and USC games? I didn't get to watch the USC one as much. I watched the first half and missed that epic comeback, but. There's a lot of chatter on, if you look at it. I just love how people make these broad strokes on the college football season by, like, one bowl win, especially when USC was missing, like, 2 NFL receivers.
Yeah.
That, like, torched Iowa. You'll have Cyclone fans saying, like, we beat TCU and Iowa, it shows this. And TCU was losing their quarterback, and the other one quarterback didn't play bad. He played pretty well.
And I don't know if you're familiar with this story, a former Vanderbilt starter.
Oh, really?
Who's, I believe, from Fort Worth, so he gets to start for his hometown team, or he's from that area, but gets to start there. And his only touchdown, I think, of the season is that little, like, 3rd and 20, let's just get some yards, and it ends up being a game-winning touchdown. Just a crazy play. But, man, USC, I can't remember the kid's name. I think he's a freshman, that receiver that was in because Lemon and Lane were gone. That dude went off. I can't remember. And Jaden Richardson made an insane touchdown catch to Nuke Hines, number 16 out of Houston. Had a huge game. So USC will be okay, but that's a tough way to end that season. And, hey, shout out to Brett and the Illini. That was a heck of a win over a Tennessee team that I thought would maybe wear them down. But as Kason Frericks was saying, I am real glad Luke Altmaier came back. He had you got a quarterback, you always got a chance, and that's what the Illini showed certainly in that game. That was a heck of a game.
Yeah, as Tom Fornelli said on Twitter, Illinois now has more SEC wins in the past year and a half than Mississippi State.
If there's one thing the internet can agree on at times, especially this time of year, it's piling on the SEC.
I know, right? And I don't know if you can make any though of these, like, I don't like to do it, these broad strokes, takes on these kind of games. I think Iowa Vanderbilt was the closest game to a full strength that you're going to get in a non-playoff game. And even then, I don't want to, like, it was 2 good teams, and Iowa came out on top.
Yeah.
There were, critical mistakes both teams made that affected the score. I'm thinking the punt and the pick that went through Xavier Williams' hands. And, after 60 minutes, I think if you play that game 5 times, maybe different winner 5 times. Teams go 5-5.
Yeah. It's what bowl games used to be, right? Before it was minimal opt-outs, everybody at full strength. I think 2 programs that are built similarly. I think Clark wants to build what Kirk has in Iowa City. He wants that in Nashville. It felt like an example to point to of, while people are still talking about what do you do with bowls? Do you move them in the beginning of the year? Do you get rid of them? Like, that's what they can still be. They can still be a point of pride for 2 really good teams, both of which will probably finish ranked in the top 20. Like, it's something to still strive for. There's pride to be played for. It's another college football game with your team, with your program. I think it's a testament to what the bowl system can be, however it looks in the next year. And the way the college football playoffs going, you wonder what that system shifts to. But I think the bowls still have a role, postseason or preseason, whatever they may be. But that's what you want out of them. You want 2 full-strength teams being able to go at it and play a heck of a football game. And, the ratings, I don't know if they're out yet, but I'm guessing a lot of folks watch that game.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know how to fix the bowl season.
Neither do
I. Half of me, if you're going to have them, I love the way the ReliaQuest Bowl turned out. Tennessee, Illinois was good too, even though there was opt-outs in both of those teams. My ideal for the playoff, though, I love the FCS version. You have to let all the conference champions get in my opinion. So if that means going to 24, I know it doesn't sound great, but if you start it early enough, you can get it done.
I think that's key. Is starting it early. And I agree with everything you're saying.
I know it's not popular, though. I think a lot of people want to go back to 4. And I'm like, that just doesn't make sense to me.
It's tough. It's apples and oranges. You can't really compare it to college basketball because it's such a bigger pool. I mean, there's 300 plus.
And you play 2 games in 3 games.
All that kind of stuff. I do feel, if you're at an FBS school and you win your conference championship, have a seat at the table. I mean, what's it going to hurt?
More football?
So, but also,
Miami wasn't going to get a chance if there was 4 teams, and they just beat Ohio State last night.
Exactly. You got to let it play out, and I think within reason, pull up chairs and play a tournament. It's about figuring out, okay, here's the best at where they were, and now put them all together and you figure out who's a champion. It's not about, I think one of the sentiments that goes out there is it's about finding who's the best team. No, it's about seeing who can win late, who can earn the chair and then go out and win.
There's only one way to do who's the best team, and it's impossible, literally impossible for college football. It's the way the Premier League does it in England. You play both sides home and away.
Yep.
And then whoever has the best record or the most points in their case, that's the champion. But you can't do that. You can't even do it in your own conference. Yeah. So how do you expect to do it throughout 130 teams when
every conference is basically its own table? So to borrow a phrase from the EPL, and we can talk about relegation and promotion if you want to do that game too.
Yeah,
because
totally.
there could be arguments for that in some
cases. Then you turn into Super League. The one thing too I want to bring up is just I see a lot of people saying they should force players to play. I don't think you can do that either. They're individuals. They've got a finite amount of time to make money, and this is their skill. And I know they're not employees, but I feel like they basically are. Maybe someday they should be. But forcing them to play, what's that going to do? Then they're going to not want to be on the field and then have a higher chance of getting hurt.
Yeah. Building bad vibes is always good to boost morale.
Yeah, 100%. Right? Yeah. And then the last thing, you mentioned the AP rankings, and they'll come out once the season's over. I was looking at it, and I think Iowa could jump as high as 16 because, USC is 16, they lost. Tulane.
But will they rank USC behind Iowa when USC beat Iowa?
Yeah, that's a good question because I've heard a lot. Iowa's the best 9-4 team in the country. Well, USC's 9-4, and they beat them head-to-head. We'll see. Michigan will drop. Tulane's up there. JMU's at 19. UVA got a win, but I don't think people think UVA is that good. So will they rank them high? Arizona plays tomorrow. Georgia Tech lost. North Texas got a win. I think Iowa jumps them. So,
I expect if they're 23 and they beat 14.
but they're 23 in the college football playoff rankings. They're not ranked in the AP poll.
Yeah, AP will be interesting, and AP can be.
And I don't think the college football playoff rankings come out again.
I think they do. Don't they do like a final?
No, they just have the.
Yeah.
I could be wrong on that one, but I didn't think they did.
I know for certain at one point in the year, and then I just forget. And
Yeah.
I have to like remind myself. I would put them 18, 19, somewhere in there. I think they'll be top 20. That's my feeling. Is they'll be top 20.
For sure.
Speaking of top 20, Iowa with a nice little win there. Jan Jensen's bunch just won by 10 over Nebraska. That was a heck of a game for a while.
It was, yeah. I have it on my phone right here, so if I'm looking down, that's what I was doing.
And we're about to start some more playoff games here. Oregon just knocked off Texas Tech 23-0, so Oregon moves on to the semifinals. And you got Alabama and Indiana coming up. That's going to be interesting. And then Ole Miss and Georgia coming up to wrap things up on New Year's Day. Again, hope everybody who's been traveling gets home safely. Anybody who's battling any sort of illness or one of the 19 things it feels like is going around right now, hope you recover. We got plenty more basketball podcasts coming up here, coming up through the rest of the season. And, of course, the Iowa News Now YouTube channel is a place you can always be watching those. Plenty of extra content from player availabilities and pressers and things like that. Lots of highlights to catch up there. And then, obviously, the audio versions of the podcast always available wherever you do your podcasting. So stay tuned for those. Owen and Mike got plenty more to do for the basketball season. I'll be sitting out until we get back to football season again, which will be here before you know it. Hopefully I'll be healthy by then. But it's been fun, a great football season. Good to wrap it up. And, can't ask for much more to wrap up a football season than a win and warm weather. I know it was 52. I know people were complaining, but that's warm in Tampa Bay. Anywhere, in my opinion.
Definitely from Iowa.
There you go. We'll take it. Well, thanks again, as always, to Director Erica for holding down the fort and running the show for us. For Mike, even though Owen's not here, for him as well, I'm Mitch. They'll see you next time on Eye on the Hawks.
At Depaco Credit Union, we value your health and happiness as much as your financial well-being. We encourage the volunteer spirit by providing Depaco employees with the tools and resources to help grow our communities and support the causes that matter to us. We believe that giving back not only strengthens the places we call home, but also enhances our overall well-being. Well-being is the key to a life worth loving. So when you think about yours, remember that Depaco can help you be well.